Wondering what to watch on HBO Max this Christmas? Well, we've got that handled for you. We got a brand new Wonder Woman where she's in the 80s for some reason. Tons of coke and leggings and stuff like that, and Kristen Wiig is a nerd. Plus, we've got award-winning dramas like The West Wing. So if you want to avoid politics with your family, you can do politics here. Plus, hard-hitting docs, like the one about the Bee Gees. You know, Jimmy Fallon and Justin Timberlake make fun of them. Then we've got all the laughs, like this hot new movie starring a bunch of old white ladies from Steven Soderbergh, another white guy, but he makes movies on iPhone, so that's cool too, I guess. Yeah, look at Meryl Streep. She's so, look at her, funny. And then we've got fun for the whole family, like this cartoon that was canceled on Cartoon Network and brought to HBO Max. Oh my God, we've got so much to offer. HBO Max, because you have expendable cash during a pandemic for some reason? Good for you, I guess?
It's news time. Delivering to you the news you didn't know about, the news you didn't care about, and the news you didn't know you cared about. With host, Chad White. Now, here's that host, Chad White.
Welcome back to News Time. I'm your host, Chad White, and this is the Warner Media is screwing up the game news that you didn't know about. Here we are at the final episode of the year that's mostly been taken over by the pandemic. Stories range from streaming service launches to politics to the failure of a streaming service launch. But one topic was always steadfast: how the coronavirus pandemic affected the entertainment business industry. With this being an entertainment business industry driven, poorly watched online news program, we had to go with the flow. Of the 50 episodes I've done this year, including this one, 16 dealt with the pandemic in some fashion. Boy, I wish I was good at math to make that percentage out of that. That's a lot of episodes to dedicate to a topic that took over the world. The point is, the pandemic changed everything for the industry. Musicians who couldn't tour released albums into the ether where they thrived on a social app, opening doors for new listeners or flourished in other ways. Comedians got a rude awakening as live performances simply stopped. Months later, they opened back up, but still. Historic improv houses shuttered. Podcasting became a newest medium, ruled by A-listers and corporate entities buying up previously independent shows and production houses in an attempt to cash in. Broadway is done as performances shift online, and the revolving door of shutdowns that is New York spins in quarantine purgatory. It accelerated theatrical windows, thus changing distributors' relationships with studios. And that's the note I want to leave 2020 on. Movies are screwed. Movies are screwed. Sorry. All of those run-on sentences from before caught up to me. One of the world's greatest actors put it bluntly after a couple of guys on set weren't taking the pandemic seriously.
You're back there in Hollywood making movies right now because of us! Because they believe in us and what we're doing! And they're looking at us and using us to make their movies. We are creating thousands of jobs, you can tell it to the people that are losing their homes because our industry is shut down. It's not going to put food on their table or pay for their college education. That's what I sleep with every night. I have told you, and now I want it. And if you don't do it, you're out. We are not shutting this movie down!
And Tom Cruise is right. We're taking baby steps just to get things done. One wrong move and this could all be gone. Well, this could all be gone regardless. Obviously, we can't and really shouldn't go to the movies during the pandemic. I'm sure it's fine. You can rent an entire theater for $150 to watch almost any movie from the last few months, plus bring up to 9 buddies to watch all 10 of you social distance. But wouldn't you rather want to miss the new Dune in theaters today so you can watch Dune 2 Sand-Trapped in 2 years? Warner Media thinks you can have the best of both worlds. A couple of weeks ago, the film division of the company announced plans to release their entire 2021 film slate simultaneously on HBO Max and in theaters. While it may sound like a win-win for everyone involved, that's far from the truth. A month ago, Warner Media, after the middling release that was Tenet, which is still in theaters as of this script writing and is releasing on Blu-ray, said Wonder Woman 1984 was going to release at home as well as in theaters. Sure, fine. We're still in a pandemic, and these at-home releases on streaming services proved fruitful. Look at Universal's Trolls World Tour. Then Warner got cocky. They said, hey, why not do that, but with all those movies we got over there on our hard drives? These aren't low-profile movies either, not like Trolls Keep Trolling, the Dune remake, the long-awaited Matrix 4, Broadway to film Bastion, and The Heights. So many promising movies available literally at the fingertips at the press of a button. Universal tried the same path. However, their deal with distributors is no match for what Warner is up to. I covered this constantly throughout the year. Here's a refresher. After the success of Trolls, the Troll sequel dropping on streaming, Universal wanted to eschew the theater release. It was their idea first. They basically were the movie version of me when I tried to bring back 90s Versace-style halter tops. Yes, those are my shoulders. No, I will not start a shoulder-focused OnlyFans. Universal and AMC theaters eventually came to a mutual decision that allows for theaters to retain exclusivity for a little over 2 weeks, at which point the movie can be dropped on streaming services. 90 days basically went down to 19. Warner is able to bypass that because they own HBO Max and finance the movies that they're planning on dropping onto it. Theater owners aren't happy. Well, happy is actually relative. AMC's CEO Adam Aron is livid about the situation, though he's been frustrated since the pandemic started. Now the desperation is starting to show. The Independent Cinema Alliance is disappointed, while the National Association of Theater Owners has yet to say anything. Notably, they were quick to make a move on the Universal situation, but that was months ago. We're in a different environment now. Biden is president-elect, and I have a cat. Times are changing. Times are changing. Boy, my grammar, not good grammar. AMC is about to go bankrupt in 2021. Movie theaters make their money by taking part of the ticket sales. Actually, it's most of the ticket sales, 60%, but with no buts. Butts. Going in seats, you can see why they're in such dire situations. On the other hand, who cares if people sat at home to watch trolling to today's hits? I'm thinking the trolls and trolls use the word troll like how Smurfs use the word smurf and Smurfs, right? No. UK-based Cineworld, owners of Regal, aren't as angry as AMC. At least they're not showing their cards. Instead, they indicated their eagerness to wait for a vaccine as well as to have a proper discussion with Warner about proper release windows. Those Brits, always so. What's the word I'm looking for? Correct, moral, precise, polite, respectable. Thanks, Thesaurus. One caveat pops up. The vaccine is already available in the UK where, Cineworld lives. They're already planning on opening up in the first quarter of the next year, regardless of a deal with Warner or not. No matter what, the Warner decision does change how movies will release across the globe. HBO Max doesn't exist outside of the US. HBO Now, the only other way to use HBO without a cable service, is international, but it's not outside of the biggest European countries. Right now, it looks like Aaron and AMC are being petty. It sounds like they want all the money for themselves, leaving theater goers forced to make the decision between staying at home and watching another 2 episodes of The Undoing, It's Big Little Lies but East Coast, or braving the world that's trying to kill us in order to see a fire lizard fight that monkey, finally proving which nation is better after decades of debate, Japan or America. What's great is directors working under the contract with Warner are standing against the streaming forward decision, though, again, responses range from direct anger to unpointed finger anger. Story of my life. Dune director Denis Villeneuve wrote a piece for Variety where he lambasted AT&T, saying that the move shows no love for theaters or audiences. He goes on to say that making movies is a joint operation between the collaborators, and without that, the deal is off. He also notes that public safety comes first and that the movie should have launched in October 2021 when all of this pandemic mess was less messy. Zack Snyder said the decision screws up what filmmakers have been working towards. Judd Apatow called it disrespectful. Patty Jenkins and Aaron Sorkin are glad audiences get to see their movies, but here's where things differ. Sorkin referred to theaters as bastions of shared experiences. Jenkins, mentioning that she had to change priorities because of the ongoing pandemic, was paid an additional $10 million to cover costs off the back end. However, she did say that companies are missing out on real money by not releasing in theaters. Plus, the auteur Christopher Nolan weighed in on the situation. He's not positive. He talks about Warner's great power with filmmakers and how the company is taking all of that apart by going straight to digital. Talent agents, managers, actors, even the Directors Guild of America responded, and they didn't even respond in that time. I called them a bunch of jive turkeys for not letting me in after I submitted this very show in order for me to join their ranks. No one agrees with this. No one. Okay, one person. Jason Kilar, CEO of Warner Media, does not give one heck about the negative feedback. To that end, neither does AT&T CEO John Stankey. Kilar started his professional CEO streaming life at Hulu in 2007, and now it's the third pillar of Disney's multi-pillared octopus thing. Ursula? He joined Warner a little before the launch of HBO Max, which obviously he hopes to turn into good fortune. Did he say right? Good fortune? He wants to make it good, and in the end, it will make him a fortune. Good fortune. Yeah, that's right. The problem with the CEO's take is it's a CEO's take. The filmmaker is a shuttle for ideas, whereas the CEO is the financier of those ideas. Money people are never people. They don't do well talking to us normies, but now we're in a world where they're forward-facing socialites. Elon Musk struggles to get his viewpoints across because he's so 2008 and we're so 2008. I don't even want to live here anymore. Right, like here, where the CEO of NBCU, Jeff Shell, says Warner CEO is A-OK. Kilar has responses for the directors, particularly Nolan, who I guess are technically his employees. This is so backwards, it might as well be forwards. 2008. Speaking with Variety editor-in-chief Claudia Eller, Kilar indicates he thinks his idea is the best way to get through the pandemic. There are reported talks with content partners like the Dune reboot and Godzilla vs. King Kong co-distributor Legendary, which, as Kilar puts it, have been positive. And future deals with talent should be more fruitful, but content partners like the Dune reboot and Godzilla vs. King Kong co-distributor Legendary are said to be starting lawsuits against Warner's. Dude, if you tell your friends you have a girlfriend that lives a town over, don't say she's going to be out of town when we suggest she comes with us to the only TGI Fridays in the tri-state area. Bad analogy. Also, don't scroll to the bottom of the articles on trade sites. It's worse than you think. The industry is fighting so hard in order to survive. It's not going to be a boon for everybody involved. No, it's the companies at the top, AT&T, Viacom, CBS, and especially everyone's favorite, Disney, that will survive. I know how much you love Star Wars and Marvel and whatever CBS has to offer, but this is much more than Spider-Man getting to touch the things Rock Hard took us. People are losing work and staying out of it. Everything they worked for, gone. Like that Thanos snap. There may be a light at the end of this coronavirus pandemic line tunnel, but right now, if we want theaters to survive and movies and shows to be made in a more fair world, we're going to have to support theaters. Speaking of things you can support, why don't you support us by subscribing and checking out one of our other videos? Of course, you can head to the website cpluscomedy.com, where there are so many interviews with your favorite comedians that you'll wonder why this is not more supported. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at cpluscomedy. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ChadBlackWhite. Like us on Facebook. Listen to the Constitutionals podcast wherever you get your podcast. And thank God we're done. I'm going to go head over to HBO Max. They don't want me? Okay, well, thanks.